Manifesto, çekici ve sevilen sembol yapılar yaratmadaki hızlı başarısıyla dikkat çekiyor. Yiyecek, içecek sektöründeki tüketici deneyimini zenginleştirme çalışmaları ilham veriyor. Fark yaratan bu projeler gayrimenkul sektörünü, gastro ve perakende sektörlerini hangi yıkıcı etkilerle yeniden ve nasıl tanımlayacak? Yıkıcı derken İngilizce'deki disruption'ı kullanıyoruz. Bambaşka bir yapıya bürünüyor ortam. Kusursuz bir deneyim yaratırken fiziksel ve dijital alanları hangi şekillerde bir araya getireceğiz? Tüm bu soruların yanıtlarını almak için Manifesto Market ve Research kurucusu Martin Berry'i sahneye davet etmek istiyorum. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Martin Berry.
Okay, thank you all for having me, and thank you so much to the attendees who are still here after the coffee break. As a conference organizer myself, I know that's hard to do. Thanks to for the invitation, and Alkas, of course. Now, I start with that video because it's somewhat of a biography of me and the way I approach my business. I wrote that poem, and what it means is I care a lot about the city and making the city a better place to live, a better place to work, and a better place to play. RE30 is the organization which I founded 7 years ago when I first stepped foot in Prague as a visitor, and I moved there later as a resident. So I start with that because our backgrounds are influencing where we're going, and it influenced the trajectory of my market manifesto, which I'll present shortly. So retail is dying, right? Does everyone here agree with that? Not everyone who owns shopping malls, I think. But it is. In Manhattan, the place where I actually was born and where I'm from in New York City, small businesses fell between 15 and 30% of those businesses have failed. Those businesses that have less than 1 million USD in revenue. That has an impact on the broader community. In those districts where, in core Manhattan, where retail fell 15 to 30%, other businesses decline as well. In the US as well, 20 to 25% of malls are shuttering. This is last year. 2017, 6,400 stores closed. And again in 2018, we see a big decline, 3,600 from Credit Suisse. You'll see articles like this almost every day, right? H&M is closing stores. Right after this article about Forever 21 was published, about them closing 111 stores, they filed for bankruptcy in September of this year. So the retail apocalypse is here, and that's terrible for most people in retail, but it's good for people like us, entrepreneurs. So who's going to move in after them? A lot of us think no one. That's wrong. We want to. Who knows something about food and beverage? That's what I asked my team. The answer was predominantly no. Who knows something about food and culture markets? In my team, the answer is predominantly no. Do we know anything? These people knew a few things on my team. They knew a little bit about culture, they knew a little bit about organizing and running bars, they knew about architecture, but they didn't know anything about the industry which I wanted to enter and disrupt. We asked our development partners if we could do food and retail. They asked here, and they said that's nonsense. This is a site in the center of Prague where we opened our first market. They asked the question, why will people come to this place? That's what most of our tenants asked when we told them we were going to build a food and culture market there. The developers basically told me, you crazy. The politicians said, you're crazy. Restaurants, when I wanted to open on sites like this, they said, you're crazy. The cultural activists, which we all know in real estate exist, the people who protest against our projects, they said it's not enough. They wanted more. They wanted more free activities and cultural activities, not capitalist-driven real estate activities, particularly when a New Yorker is proposing to do it in the middle of Europe. The architects also said, you're a little crazy. The investors, they said it's interesting, but call us after you open the first one. So fast forward 9 days later after I took those photographs of those two sites, this was the market we opened. 10,000 people came on the first day. Last year, in 6 months of operation in our first location, we had about 650,000 people in a city of 1.2 million. That's pretty good. So 1 year later, we opened our second location in Prague as well. This is what it looks like. So we're starting to know something. We're starting to build a story about what Manifesto can be and what a food and culture market should be. So in the last 16 or 17 months of operation, this project has been published widely, over 600 times actually. In the New York Times, the Financial Times, The Guardian, all the way through to lifestyle magazines like Bazaar and Elle and Monocle. We apply a 360-degree strategy to make this happen. We take everything from design, my background, to branding, cultural programming, curation of the entire concept, leasing, operations, and communication underneath my umbrella. We lease properties and we create food and culture markets. We're offering space as a service to our tenants, and most of those tenants should be independent gastro and retail businesses. Our company has grown from 5 to 30 plus in the last 12 months, and the impact of that on our markets has been 330 jobs created in those businesses. So what do we value? A core value of ours is creativity. In this year alone, I should say, we have 200 plus events. 160 of those are in arts and culture. The others are in music, live music and DJs. We have music, movies, dances, different types of gastro courses and lessons, lectures, things like this. We value experience, creating high-quality gastro experience for our customers. This is a Michelin chef that's a tenant of Manifesto, doing a curated dinner. We offer what we call experience dinners a few times a week. We value the community. The community is a big part of what we do. This project now has reached over 26 million people on social media in the last 17 months, and that community is growing fast. We value innovation. This is the first cashless market, first cashless place, I should say. One of the first in Europe, and definitely the first cashless gastro food and beverage market in the Western world, in EMEA, in the US. The short-term sites look something like this. Pre-development in Western Europe, this works really well because the permitting process is like 7 to 10 years in some cities like Prague. For the majority of our properties, 25 plus, we'd be looking at long-term formats. Right now, we're opening a Series A round and a Series B to fuel our expansion, to support our data-driven innovation, and let's say become the market leader with tech-enabled gastro. Our timeline looked like this. Seed and equity round was launched in April last year. Then we had a growth equity round close with Rockaway Capital, a venture capital firm, in March this year. We've seen 3.5 times revenue growth in 2019, and we're opening up our Series A, Series B now and in January. So our core message, both as a nonprofit organizer with Recite, which I showed you earlier, and now as a business owner with Manifesto, is to make them proud, especially this guy, my son Hayden. We want to make our customers happy, and we want to be creative. And now that I'm in the real estate industry, I think all of us should actually feel these values are ours. So thank you very much.